We are building one South Africa together with Mmusi Maimane. Oh Maimane ozoelongeza, oh Maimane ozoelongeza, Maimane ozoelongeza, South Africa.
Activists, builders, friends, family, and don't forget, welcome me wakola pe utei mumbi. Never tabile, Natalie Maimane utei mumbi. Ya mulemu aburu file nako arani masecha. Ya mulemu, thank you for coming through, man. Members of the diplomatic corps, I say very different countries that are here today. I also want to greet our friends from Botswana. I want to greet our friends from Zimbabwe who have just finished an election there. Of course, our colleagues in Zambia and in the SADC region who are following these proceedings online. And also I want to thank the best MC in town, from my hometown, Ayanda. Thank you so much. Topsy is being well represented today. I want to thank all the fellow South Africans who are catching today's proceedings online, on their phones, on their computers, in halls across the country. Bahaitsu Dumela. Today is a special day. Over a year ago when we started Soweto, we said to the people of South Africa, with a group of passionate people, we said to them, Bonambo, we want to launch Build One South Africa because we realized more than anything, when we protested and we got us to this point, that we fought and we got us to this point. Now is the time that we begin to build so that the future of yours and my children can prosper in the future that is coming. We said Build One South Africa would contest elections. I'm here to tell you, friends, with an audacious dream, we declare, or in this country, Aruna Space South Africa, we don't have another one. We declare in this place that it is far too important for us to roll up our sleeves and get in the ring and fight for this country rather than be spectators sitting outside. I am here to invite all of us as South Africans to say now is the time that all of us get up together and begin to build this great nation. We moved today in Botswana, the nation's capital. It's important that we celebrate this first birthday here, not far from the Union buildings, because we are here to declare to South Africa that after this first anniversary, we are here to change the occupants of the Union buildings to build a government of the people and by the people. And so today, as a humble servant of the people of this country, I want to make this declaration. Many have wondered what I've been doing. Many have wondered where we've been. I think Ubuntu summed it up well. But this morning, this afternoon, in this place, Botswana, I am here to declare that I will be running for the President of the Republic of South Africa come 2024. This is what we're about and we're going to fight. Change. That for all of you who know our constitution, that we can build a country that prospers for all who live in it, black, white, Indian, and colored. Together we can build a peaceful nation and take our rightful place in the family of nations. Now I know many people, but this is an audacious task. But you know, I'm a person of faith. And the other day, I was reflecting on today. And I became all too aware of the day when David had to confront Goliath. Our nation is full of too many Goliaths. The Goliath of crime, the Goliath of corruption, the Goliath of our own past. But I'm here to tell you, we all know how the story ends, in that I truly believe that when we stand up together as the Davids in this nation, we will overcome, we will triumph, and we will defeat the Goliath of this nation, and our nation can be born in a day. Now is the time. Together, I want you to say it with me when we say, together we can build, because we can win. Every member, every activist, every coordinator, every regional coordinator, every regional leader, every provincial staff, all the people who work for us, Go Build One South Africa, anyone who's donated to our cause, and there have been so many of you, and I want to thank every member. Because you are here today, because you are inspired by a dream. We all feel it when we sit here. In the last 365 days, we've attracted over 20,000 activists. We've revealed candidates. I don't need to go through that because men of Ubuntu have spoken. We've launched our policy suite to say, what are we challenging for in South Africa? We've raised money in preparation for the elections. We fought legal battles against Bopravin Godan, saying make sure every school, every hospital, every clinic has got solar energy so that cousins like Ubuntu don't have to die. We put together this process of saying, how do we build a government in waiting? But now is the time. All of us must do what we can wherever we can. Society, our own country. What we need in government before we go anywhere are leaders you can trust. I don't know about you, but I'm not khathetse ke magodu. Ke khathetse ke ditsotsi. Ke khathetse ke baetapele ba ileng go rona ga re zama go aga letogonyana la rona bone ba senya. Skathele ile ngokheli ezinenkhohlakalo. Today we are here to say, we the people are standing up together to bring about change in South Africa. Taking ngokheli. That's what we've been doing. We launched on Heritage Day, not because it was a free public holiday, because we said to ourselves, we need to give a better heritage to our children. We said we needed to build a shared tomorrow for all of us. And fellow South Africans, whilst this country began to make some progress, let's be honest and say, we've seen too many squandered opportunities. Are we not? We've seen a government that's failed to capitalize on the goodwill of all South Africans. It's failed to build on the diversity of the talent pool that we have. We arrive in our country today where we're seeing the maturation of nationalism. The idea that one race can dominate another. We are seeing the end of Afrikaner nationalism. We are also seeing the end of African nationalism. And because we are seeing those ends, as we even are beginning to see other forms of nationalism come to an end, there are others who want to stoke up another form of nationalism that begins to flare up the resurrection of xenophobic fires in our country. All of those who are stirring up these xenophobic fires are doing so to shield the government from accountability. I was outside the city of Johannesburg not a few weeks ago. I watched with horror when a building caught fire and over 100 people died. Many are still hospitalized. It was painful. Many children had to have their mothers throw them from floors, and so many children today are still traumatized. Here's what truly also did disturb me. Politicians arrived on the scene and asked the question, whose IDs or where were these people from? Right. The day we begin to judge the quality of a life on the basis of the passport it carries is the day we lose our humanity as Africans. What does remain true is that many South Africans died in that Joburg fire. But you know what's sad? Their lives will be in vain. Because still today, no one in government took responsibility for the failure of governance in Johannesburg. Yes. The last 30 years has seen a government that has failed to weave a social fabric of resilience that is attractive to all of us. What the last 30 years has seen is that we've neglected our role to provide a quality education, dignified healthcare, and a police service that serves and protects our people. When we think about our politics, none of us are proud of our government. If anyone wants to stand up, we all know we are not proud of our government. We listen to them and we start to feel embarrassed. We are embarrassed when we see that citizens are fed up and hungry for change. We are frustrated and angry, and people are now realizing that the country is heading in the wrong direction, not in the right direction. What's wrong with our country is not our people. We see moments where we can feel proud. But Desiree Ellis, but perform a World Cup, but win the African and the Cup of Nations. I said, wow, we're a great nation. When we see Sia Kolisi and the team right now appear before the World Cup, we look forward and we say, wow, what a great nation. When we see many of our cultural performers, Bo Mzansi Youth Choir are performing in America's Got Talent and they get to the finals, we say, wow, our country's got talent. When we see our companies, Discovery and so many others, perform internationally so well and produce results, we say, wow, South Africa is ready to compete with the best in the world. And we see so many other companies. But as soon as those lights of hope start to tell us we can and we will, the lights go off. Metsi a fedile. Internet a e bereke. Storo ditsotsi di utswitse tšhelete somewhere. You know, a very good friend of mine who happens to work in my office always says this one thing. He says to me, in Johannesburg, you can have water, you can have electricity, or you can and you can have internet, but you can't have all three at the same time. You must pick and choose and mix and match. What kind of country is that? As a country, as we break in, we realize, no, we must change. We must come back to ourselves and build our values of Ubuntu, of togetherness, of respect, of accountability, of equality and dignity, unity, and servant leadership and inclusiveness. We know we can be better, but we know others don't want us to be better. And but if we are honest with ourselves, we live in two South Africas. We may have one ID, but we live in two South Africas. We live in a South Africa where there's divisions between cities that are working well and cities that are forgotten. We live in good neighborhoods where children can walk around freely, and in neighborhoods where no child is safe. We live in a country where there's excellent private services. And when you go to some hospitals, it's inhumane public service. Only a few in our country have got access to healthcare, to private security, to private schools. And many people tell me, wow, that side of South Africa works well. But we dare never forget, not far from Sandton is Alexandra. Not far from this place is Soshanguve Mamelodi. That's where another part of our people live. Another part of citizens where tens of millions of citizens are forced to use public hospitals, and these are centers of dysfunction. Ekveljono itse. Die ander dag het ek vir Naima se ma gaan kuier. Wie was Naima? U wil vra. Naima was a young girl. She was 14. She played netball. She went to go visit her cousin. And when she arrived at her cousin's house, a boy asked her out. Machita Sheila sometimes. Naima said no. This young boy went out, got a gun, and shot Naima to death. I spoke to Naima's mother. Naima is not just a victim of gender-based violence. Worse than that, when I went to the police station to ask who can help Naima, the system had failed. No one could tell me the update of the case. No one could tell me where in the court system it was at. You see, we see things like Zondo Commission and we think our courts are working well, and we forget that for ordinary men and women in this country, the criminal justice system doesn't work for them. I want to say this. To Naima's mother, to the community of Mitchell's Plain, I and Build One South Africa will fight to make sure that Naima gets justice, and every Naima in the country who has been murdered will have justice. Amanda! You see, for too many of our people, they send their children where classrooms are full of 50 children or more. For many of our people, they live in an economy where there are no economic opportunities. They receive fresh wounds and fresh injuries constantly that create an atmosphere of hate, of anger, of divisions that can negatively impact our politics. And here's what's sad. There are politicians who thrive on our divisions. They come every time to campaign to say, well, let's get black people to fight against white people. Let's blame this one. Let's blame that one. They stoke up our racial divisions. They make fun of the aspirations of the truth and reconciliation process, and they tell us the Constitution was a failure. They hark back to the politics of 1994. That's why sitting in this room, and when I look at our candidates, I can celebrate that so many of them are black, they are white, they are Indian, they are colored, they are lawyers, they are doctors, they are advocates. They have come together to say we can build. They have come together to say South Africa will prosper because they will build. I'm going to get you there. I'm going to get you there. Because more than they like to blame other people and tell us, no, the issues of our failure are because of a minority or foreigners or this one. I'm here to tell you, while they stoke up xenophobia, you and I will stand up together and build. Come on. Fellow South Africans, when many people, especially our young people, are worried about where their next job is going to come from, and they think to themselves, this is the only place they've lost their way, I am here to tell those young people that if 70% of you cannot find a job, one day a BOSA government is coming, and that BOSA government is going to build. Come on. When the matric pass rates in the richest schools remains unchanged at over 90%, and in the poorest schools remains at 10% in the last 2 years, when half of our children can't even make it to the matric, and this government wants to tell us education is working well, whilst in truth, Verwoerd would be proud of the education system that this government has produced. I am here to tell them we are here to bring an education system that will make sure the future of our young people is strong, because when we talk about Build One South Africa, we are here to build. I'm pained when I read, I'm born hungry. I'm saddened that pregnant mothers can't even feed their children. Now I'm telling you today, BOSA, it will get a maternal grant so that pregnant women can feed their children inside the womb. Our children cannot be born hungry. When you go to a pick and pay store, the security around formula is stronger than on any other thing. I reject the idea that the first 1,000 days of our children will be spent in hunger. I am here to say we will make sure no child goes to bed hungry, and that is why we are here to build. When young black kids are falling behind because of skills and jobs, when we can't find a generation, and an entire generation has been robbed of their dignity, and citizens are left behind, they can't even get their social grants. Negla no go mo koso wetu. Ki bua le nkgono ka re go tsagala mama. A re ba re konna tšhelete ya ka ya grant e tla tla ka di half. Ka re ba re tella ba tella bo nkgono ba rona. So I'm here to tell you, when they destroy, we build. When we backwards and blame apartheid, when they tell us we don't have engineers because they've messed it up in the last 30 years, when the lights go off and they blame the past wasted years, when they tell us, no, criminals can run around freely in this country and the only one we seem to be watching it, we will tell them one simple thing: we are here too. Because I want to tell you, every time I watch the Springboks, I'm reminded that a child from Zweden can work with a child from Kempton Park and a colored child from Humansdorp. They can work together to build a formidable side and they can win. If the Springboks teach us something, let's remind ourselves that together as a country, we can build. And the stakes have never been higher and the clock is ticking. So let me tell you how we're going to do it. You know, the other day, it was my birthday. On the 6th of June. My children wrote me a card. It was beautiful. So I thought I'll read some of it for you. My son says this to me. He says, "Daddy, I'm so proud of you. I do think you are funny, like Manchester United's defense." She knows we're a Liverpool family. He knows. But he tells me, regardless, my greatest thing to do is to be with you. My daughter also wrote me a beautiful card on the same card. She said, "Daddy, I always tell you I love you from the moon and back. But I actually love you more than that. Because in truth, I would hope one day I could be like you. I admire the things you do for this country. And I would hope I can do the same." Kudwano, my little one, is still too young. She just tells me, "I watched you on The Warrior." You are the warrior! I won't share what my wife has written on the same card. TV But I tell you that because all of us have dreams for our families. What apartheid did is that it broke down families. It told people to work away from home. If you want to build a strong nation and you want strong individuals, build strong families. Because when families stand together, children grow up stronger. And we know there's a correlation between where a child grows up and the education they get. So if that is so, I've already spoken about the fact that we will build in the first 1,000 days a place where the children's rights are protected. I want to tell you that I know it's very possible for our streets to be safe and our neighborhoods to be places where children play. I know that we can live in a country that's led by leadership you can trust, a state that is capable. I know that we can wake up one day with 90% of our people go up to high-skilled jobs. I know that we can live in our homes rather than running the TV, LG, or the microwave, Samsung, or Sony. We can have Mkiza TV, Mutaum microwaves, and Futwani air fryers. Don't just tell me to buy local I'm here to tell you to build locally and manufacture here. I know we can change things. I know that we can fight criminals rather than watching one case on TV, while so many people are still dying and are not finding. I know we can do that. And so when people ask me, what is the first thing you would do if you became president? I want to tell you this one thing. When we become president, the first 100 days, we are going to build a government of the most skilled people, a competent government. We want a strong government. We are going to attract the most talented to government. And I want to say to politicians, if you don't have a degree, don't even bother coming to parliament. We are tired of politicians who can't even read. They will come back and say to us, look here, in the last 30 years we couldn't go to school. I'm here to tell them for it. In the next, before apartheid we couldn't go to school. I said that's fine. Man, after apartheid you could go to school. You should have gone to school. And we want people who will be examples for our children and value education. Amanda! We are going to put a job in every home. Let's put a job in every home, and we do that by making sure our townships are places of economic zones where we can invest over 200 billion rands to create new jobs and wealth for our citizens. We're going to roll out an extended public works program to offer every person who is unemployed an opportunity to work. Young people, let's all be ready, man. Man. I will continue to fight, but in all of my life I've said to people, we will introduce a one-year program where young people, I want to give you 1 year, 6 months of internship, 6 months where you can volunteer in a government place. So how do what I'm saying? How about experience or the kids talent there? We will introduce empowerment policies and introduce a jobs and justice fund, capital fund. All the companies who have benefited from the past but contributed to a jobs and justice fund so that we can fund new businesses. Not politicians, fund new businesses. We will keep the lights on. And I've told people I'm going to introduce build, own, operate models where ultimately wait about you. Mmusi, what do you want to do? Solar, all of these technologies. Now I'm here to say, and those coal power plants and introduce safe nuclear so that we can put build, own, operate models so that our people don't ever have to suffer from load shedding. I'm here to tell you we've got to fix Transnet. If we don't fix Transnet, our logistics doesn't work. And therefore, Poshia resigned. She did the right thing. Let's appoint a new leadership that will introduce a logistics company in South Africa that makes sure we can move goods in and out. Amanda! Let's fix our education matter. Let's not give Vervoet the satisfaction. I'm here to tell you what we are going to. Malo, I went to a school in Soweto. Why did you close the school? But infrastructure, what. The school is closed. So I asked, where are the children going? But no, the children, they have to go to another school somewhere, they have to go to another school. I said, never. Today. He must tell us how many schools is closed in Gauteng. We are going to introduce a voucher system that is going to give children the right to choose which school they must go to. And we are going to introduce collaboration schools in South Africa so that people have a right to choose where their children can go, so that you don't ever have to say, if I live in a poor area with a poor school, I will end up with a poor education. But you can stand up and say, now I can choose where I can send my kid, and I will introduce collaboration schools that will make sure our STEAM subjects are working better, and our education is changed for the future of our young people. When they destroy, we build. I want to build safe communities. I see my body Sunday. I want to make sure that when the police work, they are professionalized. We must introduce more people to come and work. And Rona, we are going to introduce 120,000 additional police officers in this country. Toti, your days are numbered. Keep on Sunday. Last, we must build a government that will deliver for all the people. I'm going to introduce specialized corruption courts, so that we don't have more Zondo commissions. We need a capable government that is digital, that will finish corruption, because corruption begins when a government is incompetent. If you commit corruption, 15 years is yours. For 15 years. And lastly, I want to say, after BRICS, we must build a prosperous Africa. We must build a multipolar universe where Africa can thrive. We must strengthen African trade. As Kwame Nkrumah said, we choose neither west nor east, but we fight for the interests of Africa, so Africa can prosper. We will fight for democracy in the continent, to make sure countries like Zimbabwe uphold elections that are free and fair. We're going to make sure there's a visa regime in this country that makes sure anyone who enters our country does so legally and properly, so that their rights and the rights of citizens are protected. And lastly, we have to make sure we partner globally to enhance trade with EU countries and ensure bilaterals like AGOA, the Africa Free Trade Addition, is strengthened. Fellow South Africans, now is the time to build. This is not the time to throw in the towel. I say to the young people in this country, November, registration is open. As BOSA activists here, I want to ask you, let's make sure more young people are registered and are registered to vote come 2024. Young people, I'm challenging you, let's register. Now is the time to stand up together to build this nation. I want to ask you sitting in this room, while they are destroying, let's begin to build. I'm going to ask you to stand up, because what I have seen in my life is that as a youth worker, I went to build hope in value in communities, and I saw communities stand up together and say we can build a country. I can remember as a pastor in a church, when we worked to build churches and centers of hope, I wouldn't be in politics had it not been the conviction to say this country can prosper, and God has not forgotten about our nation. Our nation can prosper. As leader of the opposition in Parliament, we stood up together and we said, can we build coalitions that work and a government that works? So while they destroy, now is the time to build, build, build. I'm ready to work. I'm ready to fold up our arms. I'm ready to stand up together. And I want to invite all of you, if you love this country, if you call BOSA your home, I want you to stand up in this room. I want you to put your hand up and say, Tuma mina, Aritamae, Arinoaka South Africa. Let's stand up together and say, South Africa, we prosper, we must win, we must build an alternative. Yesu. Nkosi sikeleni Afrika.